Good evening, Num Tums Racing fans. Mark Murphy here in the P1 Broadcasting booth, joined by Kendale Paul for the Iowa 140 lapper presented by Prospec Custom Accessories in Kendale. Do we have a treat in store tonight for our viewers?
Yeah, we for sure do. We are at the legendary Iowa Speedway, right in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa. A short track to the official port of this. Wow, I cannot speak again today. but um, but a short track. There you go. I'm lost for words already.
It is a short track, 7/8 of a mile around, and the Iowa Speedway is unique. It was originally designed by Rusty Wallace, built in 2006 at a cost of 70 million United States dollars. That's 70 million American. Since 2013, it has been owned by NASCAR, not ISC. It was never a part of that. It's always been owned by the sanctioning body itself. Since its inception, it's hosted a wide variety of racing events, from NASCAR Xfinity Series to Indy cars. Indy cars have always been a part of this track, but it's also held a Cup race or two. Um, its signature events are the Cup Series races here, as well as IndyCar doubleheaders, and they do some pretty interesting things with those. They have concerts, big acts come here to play, sponsored by Hy-Vee, and it's a huge deal. The track, though, think of it like a big Richmond, fans. It is 7/8 of a mile, D-shaped, so it's like Richmond, but an eighth of a mile longer. The turns are progressively banked, 12 degrees on the bottom, all the way up to 14 degrees on the top. The front stretch is banked at 10 degrees. The back stretch is at 4 degrees. The lap record here, the outright race lap record, 17:49.08. That was set by Ryan Briscoe in 2008 in an Indy car. The other records here that may be of note, the Xfinity Series, that's held by Chandler Smith, 2024 in the Hy-Vee Perks 250, 23.341. The NASCAR Cup Series record here, Alex Bowman, 23.362, also set in 2024. Keep in mind that those things are a bit deceptive. This track has lights, and many of the big races here are run at night. And so when you see much quicker speeds than those being run today, it's because those records were set during the nighttime. Much cooler temperatures, much more grip. As you can see from the overhead blimp shot, this track also does feature a road course. It's about 1.3, 1.4 miles, give or take, and it has held big-time IMSA races here. Michael Valiente, 41.624 around the 1.3-mile road course, and you can kind of see it there as it winds through the infield in a Riley Daytona prototype in 2007. And so the track does have the capability to host those cars as well. It has not done so recently, but it can do it. It's a neat venue. It's actually kind of uniquely situated. It's about halfway between Des Moines, Iowa, and, would you say, Omaha, Nebraska?
Yeah, I would say right there in between, and it's literally kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's kind of in a small town, Newton, I believe it's Newton, Iowa, where it's located at. Drove by there a couple of times. It's a really cool facility. Never been to a race, but yeah, just right about halfway.
Yeah. And so, continuing the tradition of racetracks that are halfway between major population centers, the biggest one of those still in use is going to be Talladega. That's halfway between Atlanta and Birmingham, but two pretty decent population centers in the Midwest: Des Moines, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska. And those places are replete with motorsport fans. Fans in the Midwest, huge race car fans. And they do pack this facility. The Cup date here was sold out. The IndyCar races very regularly sell out here as well. We are into hot laps here for tonight's event. As of right now, Derek Welch is on the pole, 132.030. But while we watch the timing scoreboard light up, Kendale, take us through what happened last week.
Last week, the old Atlanta, not the super speedway that we know today, it was the old one, the previous configuration on that old racing surface, and one big thing that we saw was tire management at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. People double sitting their tires and making the most of them. They've only had 2 sets last week, and they made those 2 sets worthwhile. And the one guy that had the strategy at all to beat them all was Chris Goins. He decided on a green flag pit stop not to take the tires, and he had him for the NASCAR overtime finish. So he had the freshest tires, and everybody else had about 10 to 20 lap older tires. So these scales were tipped in Chris Goins' way. He took the win away from Caleb Sisk and Matt Sizzler. Those three have been, in the past couple weeks in the playoffs, have been having some good runs, so we'll see if they can continue that on here at the Iowa Speedway to continue here in the NTRL playoffs.
That's absolutely right. And speaking of those playoff standings, right now, the second round of the playoffs, the round of 15, has started. Dylan Bryant was the winner of the first round. Also in this round of 15, Albert Anderson, Zach Millett, Chris Goins, Nick Biddy, Alfie Sharon Jr., Connor Leach, Matt Sizzler, Paul Durkee, Jesse Redding, Sean Roberts, Brandon Coleman, Mark Collins, Anthony Williams, and Derek Welch. Those will be the cars to watch here this evening. Those are your top 15. As for the remaining schedule here in the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Series, we've got the race here tonight in Iowa. Then we go to Las Vegas. The final race, the final elimination race, is going to be at Talladega. And then November the 18th, I know it says November the 11th. We did take a week off in there. November the 18th, we're going to finish this off under the lights at Homestead, 130 lapper. And that should be great fun. Anybody who watched the NASCAR race last weekend was treated to a heck of a show, and I expect these cars and these drivers to do the same. The rules for tonight: 150 laps. We're going to have 50% fuel, 1 fast repair, and 2 sets of tires in the pits. And that's going to be the story, as it always is in the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Championship. Tires, as the saying goes, are what wins you the race, Ken Dale. And we saw that last week with Chris Goins. Tires here wear out quite a bit, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and they especially wear out depending on what line you choose. And I mean, you kind of got to debate it of, do you want to wear out the right front of the bottom of the line? But once that line transfers up to the top of the racing surface, you're going to start wearing out those rear tires as well. So you got to manage those right fronts on the bottom, and you got to manage the right rears on the top to make those 2 sets of tires last to the end of the race.
Yeah, you do. And the other thing you really got to watch out for is the bumps. This track is extremely bumpy. Of course, Iowa has never been in life repaved. And so by the time iRacing got here to scan the facility, it had already developed in the business what they say is character. There is an especially large bump going into turn number 1 on the high side. You got to be very careful of that. And turn number 4 can be extremely bumpy and slick, depending on which line you take. So you got to be very careful negotiating the speedway throughout tonight's event. Speaking of negotiating the speedway, Caleb Sisk has gone past series director Derek Welch, the 006 132 795, nearly 3/4 of a mile an hour faster than his nearest pursuer. Right now, we do have 22 cars that have taken time. Joshua Moore third, Matt Sizzler fourth, Zeth Hawley round out your top 5. Sean Roberts is on the track. He currently sets 6th, although he has just completed his run. Tom Barish and Paul Durkee have not yet taken time. Are there penalties involved here tonight, Ken Dale, or are we all good on those?
I believe there was some posted earlier in the week for end of line, so we'll have to wait and see once they grid up. So that might be just because they're just going to be sent in the back anyways. But also, I wanted to point out this pit road. It's a very challenging pit road, as most of the pit boxes for a field like this are going to be on the curve. So it's going to be hard to find your pit box to make that left-hand turn. So maybe a strategy call by Tom Barish and Paul Durkee to start in the back to get one of the back pit stalls. I'm sorry, 7 of the pit stalls right there are on that curve there. So it'll be challenging all night for those guys. So maybe a little bit of strategy call for Tom Barish and Paul Durkee.
It could be, and this track is always difficult to find your pit stall, not just because the top 7 are going to be pitted on that curb, on that curve, that can actually be an advantage. Most leagues do have rules about how many pit stalls you can roll through as you stop. And so if you can get into that top 7, you kind of get to cut the corner. Whereas the guys that aren't starting up front, they're gonna have to worry about 3 in, 3 out. Usually, is the rule of thumb. They got to go the long way around. Qualifying has ended, and we are set and ready to roll. 150 laps here at Iowa. On the pole, Caleb Sisk in the 006. No surprise, 132, 795. He'll be flanked by Derek Welch on the outside. 132.030 for the outside pole sitter. Row 2, Joshua Moore and Matt Sisler. Row 3, Zeth Hawley in the 24. He'll be flanked by Sean Roberts in the 33. Alongside Michael Bennett in 7th is going to be Alfie Sharon Jr. in 8th. They'll make up row 4. Paul Ferdiani is going to go 9th, and Skylar Herod will round out your top 10 in 11th. Mike Corvo, 12th. James Wealth, Joseph Bennett, 13th. Scott Milner, 14th. Ryan Pasacco is going to go 15th. He'll have Chris Gones, last week's winner, uncharacteristically off the pace. He'll be 16th. Joe David, 17th. Chris Klein, 18th. Nick Biddy, 19th. And Brandon Coleman will round out your top 20. 21st, Benjamin McKinnon. 22nd, Jesse Redding. 23rd is going to be Paul Durkee. Tom Barish is going to roll 24th. He'll be the last. He'll be shotgun on the field outside row number 12. Tom Barish did not take time, and we are getting set and ready to go here for 150 laps of action at the Iowa Speedway.
So in the line ponies right now being handled out by Race Control, Joe DeVete in the number 6, Jesse Redding, Alfred Sharon Jr., and Skylar Herod are going to be sent to the back of the pack. So they will be starting at the end of the longest line to penalties from last week.
There we go. And you do see the 006 and the number 1 perched on the front row. They're behind the Ford Mustang pace car. We don't have the drone cam tonight. I do miss that. I would love to have had that. Those are absolutely fun to show the drivers on the grid, but we don't have those. Whiplash Speed Cams, though, does an awesome job for us. And the pace car is away. The field is beginning to roll, and we're going to show you what you would see if you sit in the grandstands here at the Iowa Speedway. This is the fan cam. So this is from this is from the main grandstand, just the very end of it. This is what you'd have if you were in your motorhome parked along the back stretch. Same thing for the end. There are no grandstands here on the back stretch. It's just park your coach there on the berm as we look at the 93 Birdies machine of Matt Sisler. And back to the main grandstand. Barney does not yet have the green flag in his hand. We do 2 pace laps here at Iowa. It is a short track after all. So the question then becomes, Kendall, do you go for broke early and try to make up spots, thinking there's going to be an early caution, or do you want to conserve your stuff and try to be the late comer here?
I think you got to kind of manage, I guess, that gap. You kind of want to take as many spots as you can, because as the tires get older, it's harder to pass here in these Xfinity cars. But honestly, you don't want to go up there charging the field and burning up your Goodyear tires. Then you're going to have not so good Goodyear tires at the end of this thing. Just depends where you're at on the field and what you're comfortable with.
Green flag, green flag.
I am watching the bump in turn number 1 as we head for the green flag. 150 laps. The NTRL Prospec Custom Accessory Series is on. Caleb Sisk is going to jump into the lead right into turn number 1. He'll head straight from the bottom. Meanwhile, back behind him, you've got Sisler, Hawley, and Joshua Moore 3 wide. They're going to get 2 wide now. Sisler is making a bid for more positions. He's going to go to the high side of Joshua Moore in turns 3 and 4. He'll have him, or he should have him, going down the front straight, Kendall.
He's taking that second line. He's on the outside of Joshua Moore. A little bit of contact there. They're going to be sideways. A little bit of trouble here. Will they save it here? They will both save it. Caution flag will fly, though, here in the early going of this one. There might be a secondary accident on the speedway.
Yeah, that's Ryan Pasacco and Brandon Coleman got together at the Ryan Pasacco and Brandon Coleman got together there going into turn number 1, and let's see exactly what transpired. That's also Skylar Harrod. Whoa, Pasacco going upside down. So you've got the accident that happened in front, and that's right behind Chris Gones, last week's winner. You had the accident happen in front. Meanwhile, Coleman and Pasacco go down into turn number 1, and kind of the same thing happens, except Pasacco takes the hard right across, collects Coleman, also Tom Barish. Skylar Harrod's going to take the spin down to the inside, and let's kind of see what we saw, what the 3 machine saw going through here. So talk me on board with this, Kendall. We're going down the front straight. The green flag is out. Coleman and Pasacco, by the way, Brandon Coleman, Ryan Pasacco, have made it to the pit lane. I'm assuming Pasacco was probably under a tow as he got upside down. But watch this. Pasacco hits hard. He gets up on his lid. There's Barish getting collected. And then poor Skylar Harrod, it doesn't look like he hit anything, or at least that hard, but he does get turned around. And he'll get the ship righted and head right back out on the speedway. Tough break for Skylar Harrod, though.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just a domino effect throughout the field, and real shame for Tom Barish. He trying to play the strategy of starting the back and getting away from the chaos, but it's just going to land in his lap. And they're really going here on lap number 2. He's going to probably have to utilize the fast repair on that 55 Chevrolet in the early going. Only lap 2 of 150. This is going to happen to him. So not exactly where you want to start out as is using your fast repair already, just because there's still a lot of race to go.
Yeah, Tom Barish has taken to the pit lane. He did use the fast repair there. Brandon Coleman has also affected the fast repair. He did lose a lap on the tow. So Brandon Coleman 1 lap down. Ryan Pasacco's machine has not yet made it back to pit lane. He is now 3 laps down and likely will lose more. I'm assuming that Ryan will also be using the fast repair. His vehicle did get upside down, and that's a huge deal because we're going to flash it. We're going to flash it right back up again. It's all about the playoffs, and so no playoff drivers involved there. Brandon Coleman actually playoff driver, so that's a huge setback when you've only got 2 or 3 races to kind of sort this out, Kendall.
Yeah, and especially if this is the start of the round of 15, you're putting yourself kind of behind the 8 ball already. Already on lap 2, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball in the point standings, and you got to kind of climb yourself out of that hole. But there's many ways to get points around here. Every spot counts, and then fastest lap and that sort of thing as well also counts as points as well. So something for him to think about going into this. He got his fast repair, so he can clear his mind. That's a big thing. You got to clear your mind and get ready for the next part of this race.
You know, and I don't think that's going to be the first yellow we see here, Mr. Paul. I think it's fair to say we're going to have at least one more. I would wager that Brandon Coleman will be back on the lead lap before we get too much deeper into this field. Working lap 6 of 150 under caution here in the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Series Iowa 150. Would like to thank our sponsors at the P1 Broadcasting Network, Whiplash SimCams, for providing these amazing views. As the pace car is ready to duck on off, Barney's got the green flag. The race is back on. Caleb Siss going to grab the lead as we head off work lap 7 of 150 here at Iowa.
Caleb Siss gets here a nice jump. The battle for second is on, though, now between the 24 of Zach Carley and Derek Welch. Derek Welch going to take the high side, get the momentum. But the 24 of Zach Carley, he's going to get a little bit up into the Derek Welch, but they stay contact free as they come out of turn number 4. They're still battling for second.
Yes, they are. Now that's the advantage of Derek Welch here. The high line is the preferred line both to make passes and to hold on to your position. It seems to be that if you can keep a guy pinned down there on the bottom, you can hold him at bay, especially as the tires age. It is very difficult to get any sort of traction as you cut the corner, especially off of turn number 4 over there. It is extremely slick as you try to exit the corner on old tires.
It for sure is in South Holloway, but we might have a battle for the second spot again. Derek Welch going to take a look up top with his Toyota Supra, but he's going to take the look, and he's going to be on the outside of Zach Holloway once again for the second spot. Caleb Sisk, on the other hand, he has not run away, maybe managing those Goodyear tires, but Derek Welch going to get to the outside retaining wall a little bit, but Derek Welch back on the top side with that preferred line. He's going to miss the bump in turn number 1. We'll see the momentum, what he can gain here, as just Matt Sizzler's just watching, eating his popcorn right behind this.
Paul Ferdiani takes a lurid slide there off of turn number 2. He gathers it back in. Paul Ferdiani is going to put it back in line. He dropped about 5 spots, but a great save from Paul Ferdiani. Meanwhile, back in the back, Benjamin McKinnon has been moving himself forward. There's Benjamin. He is 19th. Brandon Coleman, who has affected the fast repair. I want to say Brandon's just kind of thinking about staying out of trouble here.
Yeah, he's probably most likely trying to stay out of trouble. There's no reason to go up there and battle the Hornet's Nest that's in front of him and risk his car. He already has that one fast repair gone. He don't have another one, so he'll have to manage that. Again, he's 1 lap down, so there's no spots to be gained unless the leaders decided to come up behind him, but they're not catching him anytime soon. I'd love the call here from Brandon Coleman. Keep him out of the Hornet's Nest.
That's very true, but the Hornet's Nest is at the front. Caleb Sisk at the bottom. Caleb Sisk on the bottom. That's juxtaposed with Joshua Moore way at the top of the speedway. I think he kind of missed the corner there. Got it all the way to the top. I'd like to thank Mike Rigney for tuning it in there. The ISRA is going to be up next after the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Series race here at Iowa. They'll have Gary Godso and our good friend Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the call for that one. But thanks for tuning us in, Mike. The battle here is for second. Joshua Moore, and that huge move up the outside. He'll get the lead. Zeth Hawley is going to follow him through in the second. Put Caleb Sisk back to third, and Derek Welch to fourth as Joshua Moore blinks out.
Yeah, and he's going to blink out once again. I believe this is the second week in a row for him, so unfortunate. He gets to the race lead, and probably one of these tracks is one of his strong suits. He can run the fence. He has not popped back in yet. We'll have to wait till iRacing. Oh, there he is right there in the second spot right beside Caleb Sisk. So a fair with Caleb Sisk and Joshua Moore.
Yeah, and a great move from Joshua Moore to get all the way down to the bottom of the speedway. Make sure he was not in the groove when he reappeared. But he will come back out in third. He's still blinking out, though. That's a dangerous thing. Derek Welch doesn't know where to go. Kind of collects the outside retaining wall there along the backstretch. No harm, no foul there for Welch. And Joshua Moore has gone away again. Meanwhile, Derek Welch has his hands full. That's Matt Sizzler. He's going to climb the high side and go for fourth place. Put Derek Welch back to fifth, and he is instantly under fire for Michael Bennett in sixth.
Yeah, it's the battle there. So yeah, there you go. Sorry, timing and scoring's messed up. That 3 birdies, Toyota Matt Sizzler, like he said, back up to the fifth. He's going to set his sights on Joshua Moore now in turn 1 and 2. Maybe going to take a strategy call and ride behind him, make sure his connection is good, and he's going to stay there as both of those vehicles take the low side of the racetrack. We'll see if Matt Sizzler decides to take a look. It looks like a little bit more conservative Matt Sizzler right now as he lets off the throttle there a little bit as there's single file throughout the top 5. You walk a little bit back there towards the back of the field, though. A lot of battling going on. You got Chris Goins that started back in the pack. He's climbed his way up to 8th, almost down to 7th now as he's battling Sean Roberts for that 7th spot. Gives Chris Goins a 7th spot now coming out of the back straightaway.
That's right. He's going to pull up on the back of Michael Bennett here. That's 7th, 6th, and 7th. Chris Goins and Michael Bennett. Put Sean Roberts back to 8th. And let's have a look on board the number 41 of Chris Gones as he navigates the Iowa Speedway. Not hard on the brake here. You just kind of drag them a little bit to set the car. There's enough banking that you don't have to worry about hard on the brakes. Same thing for 3 and 4. You see Gones, he's kind of running that middle line. So split the difference, right? He's not all the way up at the top and he's not all the way at the bottom. And he's taking it very easy, Kendale, into these corners here.
You don't want to mess up that good on the Goodyear tires as he's just kind of riding behind Michael Bennett right now. And you got the kind of the swarm behind him all battling. They're too wide behind him as the 44 Paul Fernie, and he's going to take it all the way to the top side, probably the highest we've seen a car yet. He's going to get a little loose off the corner exit, so maybe the high line starting to formulate here on lap number 22. 3 wide behind him though with Mike Carrefour and the 9 of Thomas Welch. They're going to get it all sorted out, and they're going to be double file for almost 3 rows deep.
They are double file 3 rows deep. That's my goodness. That is Joseph Bennett on the bottom. Mike Carver, excuse me. That is Thomas Welch on the top. He's got Nick Biddy to his inside. That's row 1. Mike Carrefour, Joseph Bennett make up row 2. Jesse Redding and Alfie Sharon Jr., they're in row 3. That is 11th through 15th with Skylar Harrod, an interesting observer. He is 16th. And this is where the battle is on the racetrack, fans. The front, really the front 7 or 8 have all kind of sorted themselves out back to Derek Welch. There's a 10th or 2 between all of those drivers. But this is the battle. And my, what a battle it is. They're still 2 wide, 3 rows deep.
Yeah, they're making this look like high-speed pace. And Derek Welch in the outside retaining wall. Everybody going to have to check up and get him sorted before they slammed in the back of Derek Welch. Something wrong with that number 1 machine. He was running inside the top 5 earlier. He's going to fall all the way back to the 14th, and he's going to be fell into the hands of Alfred Sharon Jr. He's going to take that Chevrolet down to the bottom and take away the 14th, move Derek Welch sadly back to 15th. Just a slight mistake like that. Trouble on the back straightaway. 2, 3 cars spinning on the back straightaway, but they're going to be below the line. No caution at this point in time.
That's Jesse Redding, Thomas Welch. They were all involved in that battle. We did go on board very quickly. With Derek Welch just to have a look at him and see what befell him. Meanwhile, this happens. So coming off of turn number 2, and we've got the same thing that happened to Derek Welch happens to Thomas Welch. He just comes off at the corner. The car loosens up on him. It turns right into the fence. An innocent bystander there in Jesse Redding. Those 2 cars do crash down to the bottom of the speedway. Now, Redding is going to get his car righted. Thomas Welch will tow. And so we remain under the green flag here. Jesse Redding has come to the pit lane. He will effect the fast repair and go back out onto the speedway. But a tough break for Jesse Redding. He's going to be very nearly 2 laps down here in the early going. Lap 28 of 150. And here come the leaders. So that is 2 laps down approaching him.
And speaking of the leaders, they are battling out for the first spot, but a caution flag on the speedway. You're going to have to put a pause on the battle for the race lead as caution number 2 is out on the Iowa Speedway.
Well, you might call it super if you like. We're looking at Nick Biddy. His car sustained some damage there. And I'd be willing to bet a shiny new dime that the exit of turn number 2 bit another competitor here. Lap 29 of 150. That's Biddy on the bottom, Paul Ferdiani on the top. You've got the double zero behind them, and it looks like a little bit of contact there between Paul Ferdiani, Nick Biddy, and poor Mike Carrefour. Nowhere to go is going to give a nice little shove to Paul Ferdiani there. Caution on the speedway, lap 29 of 150. As those cars make their way to pit road to get their fast repairs under the yellow light. Everybody coming down the pit lane here. Every car on the speedway, with the exception, well, Benjamin McKinnon is now in the pit lane. So everybody is going to stop. Now let's see if they take tires here.
It'll Sisk pulls into his pit stop.
Joshua Moore overshot his box.
Oh, so a little bit of mistake there for Joshua Moore. Look at that, 3 wide for the battle out of the pit lane. I believe it's going to give it to Joshua Moore there, but I didn't see anybody take tires, did you?
I did not. The only car so far that has anything more than a 6 or 7 second pit stop is going to be Derek Welch. Now, Derek Welch has been in the fence a little bit over there, so I would assume that Derek used this opportunity to effect repair to his automobile. Meanwhile, the only car that I saw that had a pit stop anything over what would be termed gas only was Skylar Harrod in the number 3. He was on the pit lane 14.9 seconds. Paul Ferdiani, 34 seconds. He was obviously damaged in that last incident. Same for Scott Milner, 27 seconds. Mike Corvu, 42 seconds. Don't know if they took tires. That could be more of just damage repair than anything else.
To answer the question with Skylar Harrod, he did not take tires. Looks like just damage repair on that 3 machine for him. I did not see the tires go up on that machine, so fuel only and a little bit of damage.
There you go. That's the word from the man in the pits, Kendall Paul. Speaking of word, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors here in the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Championship Series. Accelerate your success with Track Bar Media, tailored for small business owners. We craft dynamic social media content, custom iRacing videos, and unique merch with no minimums. Maximize your reach with our national billboard placement and meet our elite Track Bar Motorsports esports team. Track Bar Media, affordable, impactful, and fast. Race on over to www.trackbarmedia.net now to learn more. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Beadle's Custom Car Carriers. They create 1/64th scale model car carriers, and they also make all of their kits in-house. They can make trucks to your specs as well. You can check them out at Beadle's Custom Car Carriers on Facebook and at Beadle's on Instagram. Davidson Builders, LLC in Cape May County, New Jersey, is a beacon of excellence in that community and stands as a testament to family values and military dedication. As a veteran-owned and operated general contractor and remodeler with over 25 years of unmatched experience, they marry quality with affordability. From tailored customizations to expert craftsmanship, we paint dreams into reality across residential and commercial landscapes. Check them out, www.davidson-builders.com. And I might need to call that guy, see if he can get himself out to Indiana and build me an extra bathroom. The wife is demanding that now that we have 5 humans living here, that we get an addition with an additional shower. So I may need to give him a call as the system begins to hiccup here. Thanks to Matty Wags for tuning us in. Good luck tonight, Mr. Wagner. You're going to need it. But it's good to see those guys. It's good to see the community support the rest of the community. Absolutely. And Wags says he blames it on Rigney, but he's been blaming stuff on Rigney for a long time. So we don't hold that against him. The lights are out on the pace car. We are working lap 33 of 150. So 20% of the race distance is complete. Caleb Sisk is your leader, followed by Zeth Hawley, Matt Sizzler, Joshua Moore, and Chris Gones. The lights are out on the pace car. Barney has the green flag in the air, and racing is set to resume here at Iowa.
Green, green, green.
Caleb Sisk gets an amazing jump on how that 24 machine is going to dial his race car down to the bottom. That lead that he had goes down to about 2 car lengths, but we'll see if it gains back up. But a battle for second on is on between Matt Sizzler and Zeth Hawley.
Matt Sizzler is going to take his number 93 Birdie's machine down to the bottom. That's the DuPont Flamed Warrior on the top for Zeth Hawley. And it's going to be Matt Sizzler who's going to drive that Toyota to second place, put Zeth Hawley back to third. Joshua Moore is fourth, but look at Chris Gones. Gones has made it up to fifth after that last pit stop cycle. A little bit of net code there between he and Michael Bennett. But Chris Gones is hunting down Joshua Moore for fourth. And looking to make the pass on the front straight. Let's roll on board with Chris Gones. Yes, Matt, we do agree. It is a great track here at Iowa. Not a get track. It is a great track. We're right on board with Chris Goins as he works it now to the outside of Joshua Moore. That's not a situation that we've seen very much this year, Ken Dale, is somebody going to the outside of Joshua Moore, but he's going to pull the crossover and work it to the bottom going down into turn number 1.
Yeah, he dials at that low side. Joshua Moore very predominant on the top. He's going to give the lane to Joshua Moore. Even though he was clear, he should be able to clear him this time by move Chris Goins up 1 spot here in the early going. And remember, he started clear back in the field, so he's on a mission. He will put Seth Howley on his target list, next one up. But we got a battle for the lead shaping up as Matt Sizzler goes to the outside of Caleb Sisk.
Yes, he does. We're going to put positions gained up on the tote board. Joshua Moore, he's down 2. Now he's going to be down 3. Chris Goins is up 12. He has definitely been the fast mover. Meanwhile, Matt Sizzler is going to do battle with Caleb Sisk in the 006. That is for the lead of this thing. Chris Goins, he's going to kind of fall back and cool the tires off a little bit before he makes another run at Seth Hawley. Meanwhile, all kinds of action behind them. That's Joshua Moore and Michael Bennett, the 18 and the 64. They are side by side for 5th.
Yeah, Joshua Moore, great on the high side. We've seen that in the past couple of weeks. He dials it back up. Not quite the high side of Iowa yet. He takes the middle line, but Michael Bennett, he's going to get alongside of Chris Goins for the 4th spot. Goins up to the 2nd lane, and Michael Bennett going to pull equal to him on the back straightaway. We'll see who drives it in deeper in turn 3 and 4. Chris Goins, he's going to dial up maybe the 3rd lane and start getting the 3rd lane working here at Iowa.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, iRacing, they've made the speedways just about like real life. You got to get some rubber up there if you're gonna use it. Chris Goins is moving to that 2nd lane. Now, he's been in that 2nd lane, kind of running the bottom to the top most of the event, kind of taking a high entry and really pointing it down toward the bottom and getting a run almost down the hill. That's good for 2 things. First, it's going to avoid getting you loose coming off the corner because you're not pinching the car off. It's also going to save the right rear a little bit. It's going to be at the expense, though, of the right front. In order to save that right front, you want to be easy in, and you don't want to hit the accelerator too hard coming off the corner to make it plow. But Chris Goins doing a wonderful job. He's moved up to 4th. That's 12 spots. The other double-digit mover in the field, Kendall Paul, is... Well, there's 2 of them. There are 2 other double-digit movers. One of them is Paul Durkee. He has moved up 11 spots to 12th. And let's go ahead and give Paul Durkee his due. There's the number 13 machine. The other one, who until very recently had been a double-digit mover, and now he's just +8. That's the guy that you talked about at the opening of the show. That's Tom Barish. He's already been in an accident today. He's got his fast repair. Tom Barish has worked his way back up to 16th spot, just in front of Scott Milner.
Yeah, he's recuperating from that earlier incident, and he's doing a great job of it. Like I said, up 8 spots for Tom Barish. So not too bad of a night for him so far as he's going to continue his march forward. But Caleb Sisk at the front of the field, he continues to lead. But been watching Seth Howley and Matt Sizzler. Seth has been taking some looks on Matt Sizzler. Hasn't quite committed to a pass yet. Maybe just sizing him up here in the early going of this one. Only 45 of 150 complete so far as basically the top 10 right single file.
Yeah, and now's the stage where the good has gone off the tires, and you're just, I don't want to say you're riding around, but you're really trying to, as Seth Hawley tries to make a move to the inside of Matt Sizzler, and that's just going to open the door for Chris Goins to get an amazing run off of turn number 2. He'll think better of it. Seth Hawley is driving that 24 DuPont machine deep into these corners, though.
Driving it in deep and driving it out as fast as he can. He just gets sideways off the turn number 4. And what's kind of the danger of making these moves late in the going with the Goodyear tires, if you don't commit to the pass and you can't make the pass, the guy behind you is going to pounce. Just kind of like how Chris Goins right now is, as he's starting to dial up the 2nd groove and kind of starting to venture out to the 3rd groove, as Matt Sizzler is also out there with him on that racing surface. Chris Goins going to get a massive run, but Matt Sizzler says no, he's going to block that run there and leave Chris Goins kind of just stop in his tracks.
Yeah, and that's the disadvantage of being that fourth car in line. Matt Sizzler, he saw Seth Hawley make the dive. Sizzler moved up the speedway, and Chris Gones had his run blocked. Now they've got Seth Hawley pinned down on that bottom, and Hawley's been having trouble getting off the corner already. That's not a great feeling when you're pinned down on the bottom and you can't get up off the corner. You're trying to get acceleration, you can't do it. Meanwhile, Matt Sizzler's pulled the 93 to the outside of Caleb Sisk. They'll touch, put Matt Sizzler to the lead, put Sisk back to second. Gones has just about made the move into third. Seth Hawley is going to get it loose, but he saves it, and that's going to move Michael Bennett to fourth, put Seth Hawley to fifth, make that sixth. Joshua Moore is going to call up the high side where we know he's comfortable. Joshua Moore is going to zoom right around the outside here. Seth Hawley did not. He didn't come out the best on that deal.
You know, he's going to drop all the way back to 6, and a lot of shuffling for position here on lap number 49. As we said earlier, Matt Sizzler to lead, Caleb Sisk second. Chris Goins, he's just watching the battle for the lead right now behind as Caleb Sisk he's going to take the dial up the low side again and try to take the lead back. And you got to just think Chris Goins is just enjoying the show right now and thinking about all the Goodyear tire that they're burning up right in front of him. As Caleb Sisk going to drive it in deep, he's going to try to get around the Matt Sizzler machine. He will, so Matt Sizzler will move back to the second spot, put Caleb Sisk back in the race lead here on lap number 52.
Absolutely. Now there was some door-to-door contact. Gotta wonder if there was a little bit of the red mist under the visor for the 006. But he goes back by Sizzler. He'll retake the lead. The battle is now for second and third. That's Chris Gones. He's looking to the inside of Matt Sizzler for second.
Yeah, he dials that low lane up with that Chevrolet. Matt Sizzler and his Toyota will dial up the second lane. This will give Caleb Sisk a chance to run away a little bit. Chris Gonzo going to fall him back in line. He's going to get a group or half a group higher than Sizzler to get the run. He might take a look at the inside. A little loose from Chris Gones out of turn number 2.
Absolutely. Watch Chris Gones. He's going to come back on the high side though. Got to be careful. Don't want to leave that bottom open for Michael Bennett. And working his way back into the picture in the battle for second, third, and fourth is Joshua Moore. He is back in fifth. And then just at the edge of that picture, Seth Hawley has stabilized in sixth. He's going to come back up to the front, but at just past 1/3 distance, working lap number 54, nearly 55 of 150. We'd like to remind our Num Thumbs racing fans that if they're looking to upgrade their ride, whether it's their truck, car, Jeep, boat, UTV, or ATV, Prospec has them covered. Locally owned and operated in Jacksonville, Florida. That's in Duval County. Prospec specializes in high-quality accessories and installations that take your vehicle to the next level. From custom lighting like underglow and rock lights to top-of-the-line sound systems and backup cameras, we've got everything you need to make your ride truly yours. At Prospec, we bring your vision to life with precision and care. Visit them today and see why they're Jacksonville's go-to source for all things automotive and beyond. Prospec, where quality meets customization. Matt Sizzler has customized the second position into his own. Caleb Sisk now 0.6 of a second, almost 0.7 of a second up the road. But Sizzler has been under constant fire from Chris Gones in third. And they've got interested observers in Michael Bennett, Joshua Moore, and Seth Hawley back behind them. Guys that we haven't talked about as much today, there's Sean Roberts. He is 8th. 27 laps on his current run. Right behind him, you've got Alfie Sharon Jr. He's quietly worked his way to 9th position after starting 8th. Derek Welch, the outside pole sitter, had a bit of a moment coming off of turn 2 early in this one. Derek Welch is 10th after repairing some damage. Chris Klein in the 51, he currently runs 11th. That's a Snap-on. That is the Snap-on Toyota Supra. Nick Biddy is 12th. That's Gig Marine. Or G&G Marine, excuse me. Paul Durkee, 13th, and the number 13. The position matches the car number. He is up 10 spots, Kendale. So a good run through the field for Paul Durkee. Joe DeVede is 14th. That is the number 6. Skylar Harrod, after some early contact, he'll run 15th in the number 3 Skunkworks Toyota. 16th in the NTN machine, that's Tom Barish, and he's got Jesse Redding to his outside in the 21 for TrackBarMedia.net. Brandon Coleman Wasn't he around earlier and severely damaged, Kendall?
Yes, he was, and remember, he was 1 lap down. He did get the lucky dog, I believe, earlier on, so he's going to be back on the lead lap. He's just trying to get back to his footing to start making some passes and get back up through the field. But he is up 2 spots from his original starting spot.
Absolutely, Brandon Coleman in the High Rock Vodka machine, and he's going to look to the inside of Tom Barish. You've got the 31 machine of Scott Milner, Valvoline, the gold, red, and blue Valvoline colors on the 31 for Scott Milner. He is 19th. Benjamin McKinnon is 20th. He started 21st, so he's made up 1 spot. So good for Benjamin McKinnon. Paul Ferdiani, he was given a pretty good ride earlier tonight. He started 9th, involved in some contact. He did not take the fast repair, Kendall, and you can see the damage on the rear of that World Poker Tour number 44. Paul Ferdiani did not take the fast repair there, so he's obviously saving it for later. But you got to wonder if that damage is affecting it, because he's hurt on the front and the back of that Camaro. Mike Corvo in the 97 is 22nd. He is also was involved in that last caution. He did not take the fast repair, as you see. No hood on the 97, and so he's just trying to make his laps, make his time. And then 23rd, the final runner in the field, that is Thomas Welch. Thomas Welch in the number 9. He is 3 laps in arrears. Ryan Pasacco is going to be credited with 24th position this evening. He is out of the Prospec Iowa 150. Working lap number 63 and go back to the front of the field. Caleb Sisk will lead it. Chris Goins is 2nd. Matt Sisler is 3rd in the battle. That's where the battle rages. That's Michael Bennett on the bottom. That is Matt Sisler on the top, and they've been going after it for several laps now.
Matt Sisler, yeah, if you remember, he was up to the 2nd spot, and I believe kind of holding up to the Chris Goins machine. He was trying to keep that track position. A little bit of contact between Matt Sisler and Michael Bennett coming into turn number 4. Just not a lot of room to battle it out here at the Iowa Speedway. They might get together here in 1 and 2 once again, so a fierce battle for the 3rd spot, just showing you how important track position is here at the Iowa Speedway. Matt Sisler, he is holding tough on the outside, but he's going to probably give up the spot to Michael Bennett here on the inside line.
not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. We got Joshua Moore. He's going to come down the pit lane. Matt Sisler pulled the crossover. He's going to go to the bottom on Michael Bennett, try to reclaim that 3rd position. Doesn't quite have enough to make it stick, so move Michael Bennett to 3rd permanently now. Matt Sisler will go back to 4th. Joshua Moore is on the pit lane, and we'll cover that stop as Joshua Moore comes down here to kind of see what he does. Working lap 66 of 150, and there it goes. It is up on the jacks. He'll get right side rubber, and I anticipate we will see the left side go up in due course, and there it is. So Joshua Moore is going to take 4 tires at lap number 66 for him. He will come out almost 2 laps down, but keep an eye on Joshua Moore. He went 37 laps, and does that force the hand of the rest of the leaders? Do they now need to come down and get themselves some new shoes?
It would be interesting to find out. I believe they took a pit stop around the lap 30-ish when we had that caution. They're on the 38th lap of their stint. Idling down pit road, you get 60 laps of fuel mileage here, or 60 laps fuel around this racetrack, so that should put them around, I would say, a safe estimate is 85 lap 85 when they'll have to pit. Michael Bennett will get around Chris Goins for the 2nd spot, so I believe a little bit of early pit stop for the 18 machine of Joshua Moore, so a strategy call there for him.
Absolutely, and the reason he made that strategy call last time by, Caleb Sisk 25.658, Joshua Moore 24.959. Now you got to be careful. He's in the traffic and he's in the back, so you don't want to burn your stuff off trying to get through the lap traffic. But Joshua Moore is definitely quicker than the leader. He knocked off another 0.3 that time. And the idea with the undercut is that you're going to make your pit stop early. You're going to reel off some fast laps while everybody else is trundling around on those old tires. You're going to try to get yourself a lead, and if you can do that, as you see Brandon Coleman more or less just slide up out of the way and let the Joshua Moore machine go. This time by 24.927, nearly a second quicker for Joshua Moore. And so the idea is, Kendale, we're going to come get us some tires. We're going to go like a rocket for 15 or 20 laps. That's Tom Barish in the wall in the background. But we're going to go like a rocket for about 10 or 15 laps. We're going to use the good up on our tires. Hope we get out in some clear track. And then by the time everybody else pits, they're going to burn their stuff up trying to catch us.
That's the idea. And I mean, it's so hard when you make that call, though, as to how much tire do you want to burn and what times do you want to rip off here at the Iowa Speedway. Because you don't want to be too quick, because then you burn up the Goodyear tires and you're extra slow on the later going to the pit stops. Is another green flag pit stop that's going to bring Derek Welch down to the pit lane. He's going to bring his Toyota Supra down to his crew, probably for 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco racing fuel here on lap number 73. So he'll be the second taker under this green flag cycle. He's going to bring it down to the curve of the pit lane. He's in that second box. Pulls it into the box. We'll see if any right sides go up, and they do, so he'll be taking at least 2 tires. We'll see if the other side goes up here on that Toyota Supra, and it does indeed. So 4 tires, Sunoco racing fuel for Derek Welch.
It does indeed, and that's going to force wholesale pit stops now. That's Paul Durkee, Brandon Coleman. They are going to be on the pit lane. Meanwhile, Caleb Sisk continues to lap 25.829 his last time by. Joshua Moore 25 flat. So Joshua Moore has consistently been anywhere between 0.8 of a second to a second a lap quicker than our leader Caleb Sisk, who's working his way through lap traffic. He's going to go under Mike Caribou. Next up on the hit parade for him is Paul Durkee. And the advantage, again, for those guys that have stopped early here, they should make up a lot of time. Now, I don't know if Derek Welch was so much of a strategy call as it was his car was very loose on exit. So it could have been that Derek had just had enough and decided to pull his car down the pit lane. But Caleb Sisk, Michael Bennett, Chris Gomes, these guys, they've been out 46 laps. Everybody back through Chris Klein has been out 46 laps. Nick Biddy 47. And then everybody else, Benjamin McKinnon, the final car on that 46-lap strategy, Paul Ferdiani 44, then Mike Caribou 46. Joshua Moore is the first of the early stoppers. He is 18th and a lap down. But Joshua Moore is coming.
And I don't know if you saw on the broadcast, you saw Derek Welch slow on the apron as the leaders are going by him. He had some trouble off turn number 4 with the 12 machine. He got up into the 12 of, I believe that is Benjamin McKinnon. He gets up into him. He takes a spin through the grass. So trouble for Derek Welch here in the mid-race of this, race.
You know, and that's the gamble. That's the gamble as Paul Durkee goes for the fast lap. That's old tires against new ones, and that's the gamble. When you get those new tires, is you need to come out and get some clean air. Joshua Moore has that clean air. He's just laid down another fast one, another 0.6 of a second quicker than Sisk, Bennett, Gones, and those guys at the front. They've all stabilized now, 25.8s across the board. Joshua Moore, 25.2 the last time. Paul Durkee, 24.9, but the fast lap of the race was just set by none of those guys. That was Jesse Redding, 24.562 seconds. That's
Caleb Sisk now. Oh, sorry. I want to say Caleb Sisk, the race leader. He's going to bring his Chevrolet down to the pit lane. He's going to give up the lead to Joseph Bennett. He's going to come down and get take for Goodyear tires and Sunoco racing fuel here on lap number 80. So just about 5 laps shorter of what we estimated earlier for most of these guys. But we'll see how long Joseph Bennett and Sean Roberts can take this.
Now, we've seen this movie before. Sean Roberts and Joseph Bennett are staying out. They've done this consistently. This has been their strategy, run as long as possible at most of the stops here in the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Series. So they're staying out. Sean Roberts is the lead it. Joseph Bennett is second. Tom Barish will also remain on the speedway. He is 51 laps into his current run, although Tom Barish is some 14 seconds behind the lead. Now, Bennett and Barish, they're coming down pit road. Brandon Coleman sets the fast lap. Sean Roberts is going to go around one more time.
And it's something a little bit from race control wise. Nick Biddy, I believe, busted for speeding on pit road, so he's going to have to take the hold here on the green flag stop. So trouble on the green flag pit stop for Nick Biddy in that 32 machine, a tough break for him. So that's going to at least put him 2 to maybe 3 laps down.
Speaking of that pit entry, here comes Sean Roberts. He's going to make the hard left down the pit lane. Sean Roberts going to bring the 33 Toyota Supra breast cancer awareness, the pink on the side of that automobile, to his pit box. Also, Paul Ferdiani has come in for his pit stop. We'll see.
Paul Ferniani coming down the pit road. He hit the yellow barrels coming in the infield. He now has a meatball, so he's going to have to get that fixed, and I believe he does not have used his fast repair yet, so he'll be able to use the fast repair on this one. But another thing, pit road biting another person.
Yeah, we'll go back and watch Paul Ferdiani here. And it's a tough transition. We kind of saw it in the background while we were watching Sean Roberts, but Ferdiani, he just can't quite make the corner there. Gets into the barrels with the right front. That's a tough break. Paul has used his fast repair, and so he is back out on the speedway. 2 laps in arrears, 21st for Paul Ferdiani. That's going to put Joshua Moore into the lead in the 18, and this is the power of that undercut. Joshua Moore is 5 seconds up the road from Caleb Sisk in second. Michael Bennett will be third. Chris Gomes fourth. Matt Sisler will round out your top 5. Meanwhile, the closest battle on the track is this. That's Alfie Sharon Jr. and Paul Durkee. That's 7th and 8th. Those two will get kind of straightened up. And then Chris Gomes is right on the back of Michael Bennett. That is 3rd and 4th.
So Joshua Moore, like you said, after the race lead, he isn't though on 21 lap old tires compared to Caleb Sisk 7 laps. Now the difference between the lap times, Joshua Moore last time by flashed across the stripe a 25.3 to Caleb Sisk 25.0, so 0.3 faster for Caleb Sisk. So if he keeps that car moving and cleanly through the lap traffic, he'll easily catch Joshua Moore unless lap times decide to equal out. But Michael Bennett, he's up to 3rd, and Chris Gomes 4th, Matt Sisler 5th.
You know, and that's going to be the strategy for Joshua Moore, get the tires equalized, and hopefully you've got a lead to come out of it with Sisk, Bennett, Gomes, those guys 9 laps on their tires. Matt Sisler has 8. Paul Durkee has 15th. He was one of the early stoppers. But in truth, I think what we saw in the first run, the tires are going to equalize after about 20. So if Joshua Moore can hang on here, and he's really just got to hang on for another, he's really only got to hang on for another 8 to 10 laps, those things are going to stabilize. He was a half a second slower than Caleb Sisk the last time through, but Sisk, he's 3.5 seconds behind, and so it's going to take him at that rate 7 laps to get there. In 7 more laps, you're right on the edge of the tires being equal.
So we'll have to see how that shakes out. Great call from Joshua Moore so far as it looks. He's going to take the high line late the 32 machine by to unlap himself. That should put him, Nick Biddy, back on the, no, he'll be 1 lap down, sorry, for him. But Joshua Moore out to about a 2-second lead, so that's kind of shrunk for about 2 seconds. Since we started following this, it does grow back to 3 seconds. But earlier on, we were seeing Alfred Sharon Jr. and South Howley battle it out. Alfred Sharon Jr. may be on a mission here. He's ripping through the field faster than some of these other guys. He's going to try to catch Matt Sisler here for the 5th spot. He's running some pretty decent lap times for that 78 machine. But hopefully he's not wearing the good off the Goodyear tires.
Yeah, watching Alfie Sharon Jr. here. That is Scott Milner in the background of the Valvoline machine. That's a lapped car. You've got Seth Hawley in the 24. He is most certainly not. That's 7th place. Paul Ferdiani is also involved there. He is multiple laps down in 21st. But Ferdiani also has just used his fast repair, and so Paul is going to be on fresh rubber. Right behind them, if you go back a little ways, that's the freshest tires on the speedway right now. That's Sean Roberts. He went longer than everybody else. He's got 10-lap-old tires. He is the fastest car on the track. He is also about 8 seconds off of the lead. Speaking of that lead, Caleb Sisk has now cut it to 1.7 seconds, and he can now see Joshua Moore. So you've got Tom Barish and another lap car in front of him. I believe that's Derek Welch. Maybe Joe DeVee. Never mind. But you've got Caleb Sisk in second. He's now only coming about 0.3 of a second a lap out of Josh Moore, but he's coming 1.2 seconds that time by. Those 14-lap fresher tires starting to work for Caleb Sisk.
You got to think, though, also, is Joshua Moore kind of saving the Goodyear tires here, as he knows there's 2 lap cars behind him, separating him and Caleb Sisk. Caleb Sisk is going to have to make the moves around those 2 lap cars. So maybe possibly a strategy call from Joshua Moore, saving the Goodyear tires, as he's not as quick as he was earlier. Running just about virtually the same lap times as Caleb Sisk so far, but we'll have to see if Caleb Sisk can get around these 2 lappers and then get in some a little bit cleaner air and see if he can set sail and catch Joshua Moore.
Well, and that could be the strategy call of the evening for Joshua Moore. And the reason I say that is my open wheel brain is working this race backwards. And so Joshua Moore last stopped 32 laps ago. That was at lap 66. We know that they can make it something like 55 to 60 laps on fuel, correct?
Yeah, right around there.
So we also know that the tires equalize after 20 laps. So the victory here for Joshua Moore is if he can go until lap 110 in my mind, if he's still got he's going to stay out there as long as he's got the lead. But as soon as Caleb Sisk gets past him and or it's lap 110, Joshua Moore needs to hit pit lane. Although he may be involuntarily hitting pit lane, he just disappeared again. Poor Joshua Moore. Connection issues play up. That's going to temporarily put Caleb Sisk back in the lead. Dale, can you give us a read on Josh's latency and ping there? Is it coming back, or is the quality still going down?
Quality's at 40, and it is going down here for Joshua Moore. We'll see if he can pop back in or if he'll get a packet loss. It's not looking good right now. It's down to 30, so it continues just to free fall. And there he is, right back again there. He's going to cycle to, well, as I say that, I shouldn't have said anything, and he is out of the session. So a tough break for Joshua Moore. That's 2 weeks in a row for him.
Not only that, 2 weeks in a row while he's leading the event, his connection is played. So that'll put Caleb Sisk in the lead. Michael Bennett second, Chris Goins third. Matt Sizzler is fourth. Zeth Hawley fifth. Alfie Sharon Jr. is sixth, and he is in a fight with Zeth Hawley there for that 5th and 6th spot. Chris Klein is 7th. Joseph Bennett is 8th. Sean Roberts 9th. Paul Durkee will make up your top 10. Alfie Sharon Jr. and Zeth Hawley going at it hammer and tong here for that final spot in the top 5. Zeth Hawley has it. Alfie Sharon Jr. wants it.
Yeah, those 2 Chevrolets have been fighting all night for that position, it seems like. And I believe even Alfie Sharon Jr. had a pretty decent lead on Zeth earlier on, and Zeth Hawley, he just reeled that back in. He's trying to run away from Alfie Sharon Jr., so a little bit of toss back and forth of the 5th spot. We'll see if Zeth Hawley can set sail and catch up to Matt Sizzler for that 4th spot. For this one, Caleb Sisk continues the lead with a pretty decent lead over Michael. Well, let me retract that statement, as it's only about half a second. As it looks like maybe Michael Bennett's looking to maybe go dice it up for the lead.
Yeah, Michael Bennett with him 4/10. This is the best battle on the track, though. You're looking at Joseph Bennett. He's 8th. He's got Chris Klein in front of him in the Snap-on machine, 7th, and he's got Sean Roberts immediately to his rear in 9th. That's a trio of Toyota Supras, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Sean Roberts, of course, was the last car on the pit lane. He stayed out until the very bitter end on his last stop. He's got 2 lap fresher tires than Bennett, who is 2 laps fresher than the leaders. You also have Chris Klein with a 1 lap tire advantage. He's trying to work around lap traffic and catch Alfie Sharon Jr. The battle for the lead is down to 3/10. When it gets to 2, we'll go ahead and transfer up there. Do want to kind of keep an eye on this because it is, once again, the closest battle on the speedway. A trio of Supras, 7th, 8th, and 9th, Klein, Bennett, and Roberts.
And they're just going to kind of ride in line there as they both dial up the low lane. And well, maybe a little bit of trouble for Alfie Sharon. No, never mind. He's sorry. He just dials up the second lane. He's going to get the momentum off and pull away from the lap car of Paul Ferniani. And Chris Klein there behind him. He's going to try to get around the lap car there as well. So navigating some lap traffic, and maybe we'll have some resume of the battle for those spots respectfully.
Yeah, and lap traffic can play a deal in it, right? I mean, Paul Ferdiani, he's not doing anything wrong. He's actually doing everything right. He's got his car on the bottom. He's, you can tell he's letting off in the middle of the corner. He's trying to let these guys by so they can fight. But even just the lap car being there changes your calculus. It changes your arc into the corner. It changes your braking points. It's something else to consider. It gets you a little bit out of rhythm, and it takes a couple of laps sometimes to get that back.
Yeah, for sure, and it gets you out of the rhythm too as well. Trying to get around a slower vehicle that you're not battling, because you're always analyzing the guy in front of you, where their weak points are, and then you get a lap car to disturb that and take the rhythm away. They did get around that Paul Ferniani machine, so got to get back in the groove of things. Maybe a battle for 8th shaping up between Joseph Bennett and Sean Roberts, and those two Toyota Supras, as Sean Roberts is going to dial up the low lane on Joseph Bennett, but Joseph Bennett, he's going to crowd Sean Roberts down to the yellow line, going to get the momentum off here off of turn number 2.
That's the way it's done. That's what happens here on old tires. You get the car up on the top that doesn't want to let you up off the bottom, and it is almost impossible to accelerate down the straightaway. In the Race Spot 10-year anniversary race, Chris Demers and I did this for about 40 laps in IR18s. It was absolutely amazing. Not a glove laid on one another, but just Chris trapped on the bottom. That's Joseph Bennett gets stuck behind Chris Klein and almost comes to grief.
And nowhere to go to put that run that he had on Sean Roberts. Sean Roberts, he's going to stabilize and he'll get back to the 8th spot, but he's going to take a look to the outside of Chris Klein here in turn 1 and 2. Going to dial up the middle lane. Not going to work out, as Chris Klein with an amazing corner there for him to get out in front of Sean Roberts just a little bit. And maybe Chris Klein is going to look to the inside of Alfred Sharon Jr. here in the next few laps. But those racing machines are all within a half second of each other, so a pretty tight battle there here in the back half of the top 10, but it's a good one.
Yes, it is. Anytime you get 4 cars right together like that on a short track, you're gonna have some great racing. Watching Alfie Sharon Jr. 6th, Chris Klein 7th, Sean Roberts 8th, Joseph Bennett 9th. Throw a blanket over those 4 competitors. We'll go check back in on the leader. We haven't forgotten about you, Caleb. We do have you 0.7 of a second in front of Michael Bennett. That's the next car back, is Michael Bennett in the 64. And then Chris Goins, he is 3rd. He's another second back from Bennett. Matt Sisler, 2.9 seconds in arrears as he comes up to put a lap on Tom Barish. Just now at the start-finish line. Zeth Hawley a second behind them. And then another second and a half back. That's where the battle rages. Sean Roberts has decided to climb to the top of Chris Klein now. He couldn't get it down on the bottom. He's going to try to go to the top. Well, maybe. Don't know where he's going to try to go after that. He's going to the top. No, he's going to the bottom. Well, I take it back. He's going to go to the top. That 51 was awfully wide going down that back straight.
Yeah, trying to decide where you want to pass the machine. And like we said earlier, they're like right on top of each other there, so you try to make a move, you make a mistake, it's going to cost you 1-2 spots in this case. That's Chris Klein trying to get around the Alfred Sharon Jr. machine. The Chris Klein machine, he's hanging tough on the bottom as Alvin Sharon Jr. is going to start dialing up the high side here at the Iowa Speedway. And Sean Roberts is a little loose off of turn number 4. So that mistake's going to not really cost him, actually, as the 00 not going to try to take the spot. Well, I take that back. He's going to dial up the low lane and fit that key right in the keyhole. It seemed like they're a little tight racing here. As now they are double foul for 2 rows.
You know, they are, and here's the thing with that. It may not hurt him in terms of track position right now, but that little slide right there is going to heat up the Goodyears on the back of that Supra for Sean Roberts. And all that means is that it's going to become even more of a handful off the corners. That's kind of one of those things where you get them hot, you can't really cool them down here. Iowa's a track with a lot of corners and it with a lot of corner. You think of it, it's got a lot of corner. The front stretch is curved. You're always turning the wheel. It's got some banking to it. The right rear stays loaded down the front straight here, and then it is super loaded going through these corners. You get that baby hot, it is awfully hard to make the automobile turn late in a run, and you're seeing that affect Sean Roberts. He has now fallen more or less off the back of this battle. Alfie Sharon Jr. to the top. He's got 8th now, but he's working Joseph Bennett, and Bennett's finally going to get by. So this battle has now sorted itself out. Somehow, they've also managed to gain a little bit on Zeth Hawley. And there's Zeth. He rounds out your top 5. There's Sizzler in 4th, coming to the start-finish line. Chris Gones is within a half a second now of Michael Bennett, who's 2nd. Caleb Sisk continues to lead it, and they're all now within a second and a half of each other up front.
Yeah, they're all within a second. Now green flag pit stops now starting. Some of the guys outside of the top 10 going to elect to bring it down to the pit lane and trying to find them. Jesse Reddy, he's going to bring his machine, that Ford Mustang, down to the pit lane. He's going to take, it looks like, some 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco racing fuel, and I believe I just heard the leader of Caleb Sisk is going to come down to the pit lane here on lap 123.
Yeah, you're to the point now where there's only there's going to be 27 laps to go this time by. Michael Bennett also going to come and take tires. The good on these things last 20 laps or so if you're going to come and get them now. You're going to get the maximum effect, and really going long here doesn't really gain you all that much. Chris Gones stays on the speedway, as does Joseph Bennett, Sean Roberts, Alfie Sharon Jr., Caleb Sisk, Michael Bennett. Here comes Chris Gones now. So that's going to hand the lead over to Joseph Bennett, except he's going to come down the pit road, and that will mean that Sean Roberts is going to have the lead. That's Brandon Coleman. Brandon Coleman has already made his pit stop. He is on sticker tires, and he's just going to drive right around the leader of the race. That'll move Coleman back to 1 lap down. Alfie Sharon Jr. is now 2nd, and these guys, their whole thing is now, although they're both gonna stop here too. You're thinking, man, if you're Sean Roberts, I'd like to see a caution, but just could not hang on anymore. And not only that, it doesn't really make any sense to do so.
Yeah, you're just giving up the advantage on the Goodyear tires, the fresh Goodyear tires, giving up that advantage there. I did want to point out, this did happen a little bit ago. Was taking a look down the pit lane and noticed Derek Welch, he has a meatball down the pit lane. He is sitting on pit road. He's been down there for quite a while, actually, for about 25 laps. 25 laps earlier, he tried to come down pit road at lap 110 and hit the yellow barrier square on, and he blew that machine up. So a tough night for Derek Welch, as he's going to end it early, most likely, for that machine. Just wanted to point that out if we had any Derek Welch fans. Absolutely.
Now, Joshua Moore has not reconnected, and so he is Derek Welch 16 laps off the pace. Joshua Moore 25 laps down now. Mike Kuravu is still circulating. He is 38 laps in arrears, and so Mike Kuravu, if he maintains pace, is going to be able to pass both Moore and Derek Welch here. So keep an eye on that. That is big. That has playoff implications for both Moore and Welch, because that's one more position for them. So Mike Kuravu does have the ability to pass both of those machines. Meanwhile, Caleb Sisk has gone back to the lead. Chris Goins has set the fastest lap. And we're kind of right back where we were before all of this started.
Yeah, basically exactly like we were, because Chris Goins Chris Goins gets around the Tom Barish machine for the third spot. Tom Barish going long here on this one. But Michael Bennett is a little bit closer than when we last checked into this. He is about a half second, but unfortunately losing a little bit to Caleb Sisk as the timer or the clock is running out for Michael Bennett, and you gotta kind of walk the fine line of burning your stuff up or not letting him get away. So we'll see how that all develops out. Chris Goins about 1.5 seconds behind the leader. He's up to third, up 13 spots from his original position. So a really good night for the Chris Goins machine here late in the going.
Would like to point out that Derek Welch has checked in the chat. Derek said he was done anyway. He had to take care of something. He did not mean hit the pit barriers, but that did the pit barrels, but that just did kind of finish him off there. So not as tough a break as we may have thought for Derek Welch, but not the end of the evening he was hoping for sure. Meanwhile, we do have a battle for the lead that's about to be brewing. Michael Bennett has been faster than Caleb Sisk each of the last 3 or 4 times by. Meanwhile, Chris Goins has been 0.2 of a lap faster than both of those guys. He's chopped it from 2.5 seconds down to 1.6 seconds to Caleb Sisk. Brandon Coleman is desperately trying to stay on the lead lap, although he's finally going to have to give way to Sisk. Sisk drives it to the bottom of the speedway. He'll put the 11 machine a lap down. So that means 13 cars here are on the leader lap as Michael Bennett's going to go by here. Nothing really gained or lost in that exchange in terms of the leaders, and that's Tom Barish. He does not figure into this battle. Barish is 17th. He is 2 laps down. But it's all going to come down to how you get through traffic here, how much tire you've saved, and what you've got for the end of this run to determine which one of these top 3 cars is going to win the race. Matt Sizzler 4 seconds out from this battle, and then Chris Klein is another 3 seconds behind Sizzler.
Yeah, it's a spread out just a little bit. Michael Bennett, though, I'd like to point out, he's been kind of faster on the short run. It seems like he'll reel Caleb Sisk in, and then it kind of seems once he transitions in the long run, Caleb Sisk prevails there and tends to run away a little bit. As flash across the stripe this time by, they're going to run virtually the same lap time between Caleb Sisk and Michael Bennett. So we'll see the scales tip one way or the other here in a few laps once they burn a little bit more off the Goodyear tires.
Yeah, and they're both kind of running. I was going to say they're kind of running different lines, but Caleb Sisk moved his up, and you can kind of see it. Let's go to the blimp. We'll take the header and the ticker out, so you can see the difference in opinion as to how to run this track. Michael Bennett's a good lane, half a lane higher than Sisk. Sisk is in the 006 in the front. We've got the camera focused on the 16 of Michael Bennett. But he has consistently been about half a lane higher than Caleb Sisk throughout the run. Sisk all the way at the bottom usually, maybe a half a lane off of it. Bennett has been a stalwart of lane 2 or lane 2.5. And you see it there again. Let's check out what Chris Goins is doing back here. Goins, he is now 1.4 seconds behind the leaders. He was a 10th quicker that time by, and he's doing the exact same thing. Really just kind of running that lane 2 there.
Yeah, and this time around the stripe, he's going to be another 10th quicker. So let's not count out Chris Goins. He's to the march to the front here on the late going. He'll catch first to Michael Bennett for second. He still does have 1.2 to Caleb Sisk. So something to watch out there. That's an outlier in the lap times to the faster side of things. We'll see if he can keep that up. Again, another 10th quicker. So he is catching these front 2.
Yes, he is. And that's a very rapid Chris Goins there in third. He does have the fastest lap on the evening, as noted by the purple number on his position. So Chris Goins going to be third, Michael Bennett second. Caleb Sisk is your leader. We're watching Goins as he attempts to reel in this man, Michael Bennett, who is also attempting to reel in Caleb Sisk. Bennett was 0.2 of a second quicker that last time through. Gones was a 10th quicker yet than Michael Bennett. So still some fast laps being laid down. 25.3 for Sisk, 25.1 for Bennett, 25 flat for Chris Gones. This time by Caleb Sisk hurt us. He just laid down a 25.1, 25.1 for Michael Bennett, 25.1 for Chris Gones. So that's either he's watching the broadcast and he's saying, hey, these guys are running a little bit quicker than me, or he's decided with 10 to go, there's no saving anymore. Half a second is close enough. It's time for me to go.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you got 10 laps to go, so you got to kind of almost burn what you got on the Goodyear tires to try to win this race and get away from these guys. But also, I would hate to say this because this is probably going to curse it. You also got to keep in mind of a late race caution. No tires left on the pit lane for any of these guys. They've all took their fresh rubber late in the going in this one, so there is no pitting. It's got what you got to the end, as we got 8 laps to go here.
Yeah, and Chris Gones might not be liking what he's got left because that was a big slide coming off of turn number 4 for the 41. Gones lost, I don't know, half a tenth of a second with that deal. But we've got 9 laps to go coming to 8th. It is Sisk, Bennett, Gones, your top 3. Sizzler 4th. Chris Klein is 5th. Zeth Hawley, Sean Roberts, Joseph Bennett, Alfie Sharon Jr., Jesse Redding round out your top 10. Paul Durkee is 11th. Skylar Harrod 12th. Brandon Coleman 13th. Joe DeVete 14th. Tom Bears is 15th. Nick Biddy 16th. Scott Milner 17th. Benjamin McKinnon is 18th. Paul Ferdiani is 19th. And Thomas Welch will round out your top 20. Derek Welch is 21st. Mike Caravu has now passed Joshua Moore, and in 5 more laps he will get past Derek Welch. So Corvu's currently 22nd, but he's hunting 21st. Joshua Moore, Ryan Pasacco are the only 2 out of the race. They are going to be scored 23rd and 24th. Derek Welch is also out of the race, but still signed into the session. He can be passed, and again, that makes a difference in the playoff deal as Chris Gones gets into the fence again.
Yeah, so a little bit of handling trouble for Chris Gones late in the going. Not where you want that car to be, but it kind of looked there for a second. Michael Bennett was going to catch Caleb Sisk, and he closes the gap down entering the corner, but Caleb Sisk gets a little bit better of an exit each time and opens that right back up here with about 5 laps to go in this one. So does Michael Bennett have anything left in that race car to get around Caleb Sisk?
We're going to see he chopped another tenth of a second out of it that time. Make the gap 0.3 seconds. Just under that. Michael Bennett has resumed the chase. Caleb Sisk this time 25.390 to a 25.355 for Michael Bennett. So marginally quicker again. Is he going to have enough time to get there? And then once he gets there, what's Michael Bennett going to do? Is he going to affect the pass cleanly, or are we going to see the vintage short track bump and run on Caleb Sisk? Got to be careful of that. This is a short track after all, Kendale.
Yeah, it is, and I always like to say it's one book to go catch the guy. It's a whole other book to try to pass him. You can be a lot faster, but once you get into the wake, it seems to kind of dissipate a little bit. He gets into that 3/10 margin, and it kind of seems like to fall off. So maybe something Michael Bennett needs to think about, and maybe try to go to a different line, maybe to get the fresh, clean air. I'm not quite sure what would help out Michael Bennett right now here at Iowa here in the closing laps of this one.
Yeah, he's been content to follow pretty much right in the tire tracks of Caleb Sisk. You see the lines there are very much identical, maybe a half a car either way. Chris Gones is a little bit further up the racetrack on entry, as you see just in the background there. You'll see Gones come into the picture, but Bennett and Sisk running the exact same lines. They're going to have to run those lines for one more lap. The white flag is out for the leader. That's Caleb Sisk.
Caleb Sisk just going to be down up the low lane. He's going to take it safe down the back straight away. He just has one more corner. Michael Bennett not close enough, coming off of turn number 4.
Off of turn number 4, it's going to be Caleb Sisk in the 006. He is going to take the checkered flag. He will win the NTRL Prospec Xfinity Series Iowa 150 here this evening. Michael Bennett is going to come second, and rounding out your podium with the fastest lap, that's the number 41 of Chris Gones. Waiting on everybody to cross the start-finish line. Here's Caleb Sisk. Cross the finish line, and he is going to do some burnouts. While he does that, the final finishing order here today in the NTRL Xfinity Prospec Iowa 150. Caleb Sisk leads 107 laps, starts from the pole, wins the race. Michael Bennett is going to come home second. Chris Gones, big mover, plus 13. He leads 2, and he'll be third. Matt Sisler is fourth. Chris Klein also gained 13 spots. He'll come home fifth. Zach Hawley is going to be sixth. Joseph Bennett is going to be seventh. Sean Roberts is eighth. Alfie Sharon Jr. is ninth. And Jesse Redding will round out your top 10. In 11th, we've got Paul Durkee. He made up 12 spots. Skylar Harrod is going to be 12th. Brandon Coleman 13th. Joe DeVede 14th. And Tom Barish will round out your top 15. He was also a big mover. He was plus 9 on the day. Good job for Tom Barish. 16th, Benjamin McKinnon. 17th is Scott Milner. 18th, Paul Ferdiani. 19th, Thomas Welch. 20th is going to be Nick Biddy. 21st, Mike Carvu. Out of the race, Derek Welch, Joshua Moore. And 24th and last, Ryan Pasacco. Excuse me, I seem to be catching my kid's cold here. Let's not do that. Let's instead see if we can't get Chris Gones up in the interview room. Maybe.
Just maybe.
Just maybe. There's Chris Gones. Chris Gones, Mark and Ken Dale in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy, sir?
Yeah, what's up, guys? How are you?
You know, the Blue Chew brought you some good luck again today. You round out the podium on the bottom step. You made up a ton of spots, though, man. Kind of talk us through, how do you get from 15th to 3rd here?
Patience in the beginning and pushing hard at the end. So, it was just trying to be patient in traffic. You can get around a few cars there on the bottom. You feel like Superman with the new tires, and then all of a sudden, 10 laps later, it's like, well, where'd these guys come from? So, just being able to pace yourself, to take the spots when you can. Give and take, a lot of give and take there at the beginning. The caution to kind of bunch everybody back up was needed there around lap 30 or whatever, but. Once we got kind of in that top 10, top 5, I felt like we could push hard enough to kind of keep up with Caleb and Michael. I think looking at it, we were running basically identical lap times there towards the end of the runs and stuff. So we were just kind of maintaining gap. But just happy to be able to work my way up there, and I'll take a P3.
Absolutely. Ken Dale, do you have anything for our third place finisher this evening?
Yeah, congrats, Chris Gones, on your 3rd place finish. We saw you there for a little bit looking to catch Michael Bennett and Caleb Sisk. Was there anything more you could have done to try to battle for the lead, or at least get that 2nd spot?
There at the end, I don't think so. I stayed out an extra lap on them. I probably could have undercut maybe, but I stayed out an extra lap to get that bonus point for leading, in the battle there for the points there. So, I wanted to take advantage of that while I could, so that gave them a little bit of an advantage there. One lap is, a few tenths anyway, so just trying to push hard there at that last stint, trying to catch them. But I think we just kind of evened out, and we're running about the same lap times there at the end. I pushing a little hard. I scraped the wall a couple of times coming off of 4, lost a couple tenths here, a couple tenths there to make it back up. But we were all just kind of, running the same pace, and it was pretty even race.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, congratulations on the P3. The floor is yours, sir. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to this evening?
Yeah, I want to shout out all my guys over at Track Bar Motorsports. We had Alfie and Jesse in here. Shout out to Zach Millett for crew chiefing and spotting here for me for a little bit. The NTRL guys for putting these leagues on. They always do a great job. Appreciate you over at P1 for putting the broadcast here so we can go back and watch this. I'm sure, hopefully it was as exciting for y'all as it was for us. But as like you mentioned, we got Blue Chew on the car with Popple and Track Bar Media, Eric Dodgson's State Farm Agency, Beadle's Custom Carriers. But yeah, other than that, I don't even know where we are next week, but I already look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, we look forward to seeing you next week, and go celebrate, enjoy it. That's third place, Chris Gones.
Appreciate it, guys.
Second on the day, we have Michael Bennett. Michael, you started up front. You didn't have near the journey to get there that Chris did, but still not quite enough to get past Caleb Sisk. Was there any thought to trying a different line, or was that just all you had there?
I was just talking to Caleb. I was going to try to short pin him by one lap because I figure like we were pretty much even once when we were spread out. So I was going to try to short pin him by one lap, and we came down the same lap on that last thing. So he had said he called it out, and I'm like, I can't go one extra lap. I got to go with him. So I just figured I had to pace him and just leave enough pressure on him. I saw him get the right rear in the wall a few times, so I knew he was pushing his car, and I really quite wasn't. But I was just trying to run even pace laps. Toward the end there, I tried to open my entry, get a run off the corner down in 1 and 2. It helped here or there, but just wasn't going to be enough. Maybe a couple more laps I could have got to him, but it was definitely going to be hard to pass him.
For certain, sure. Kendale, do you have anything for the second place finisher, Michael Bennett, this evening?
Hey, Michael, congrats on your second. Now, as we look forward in the playoffs, going into the round of 15 and everything, how do you kind of keep the momentum going and getting these top 3 finishes as it's going to get tougher and tougher here later in the going of the season?
After last week, starting on the pole and then wrecking myself and then finishing last, it really put me in a hole. I was nervous because this is the same type of racetrack, keeping your tires. You can get free. You can abuse the tires. So I was kind of disappointed that last week I think I wrecked out of third, and this week I ran in the top 5 all day. So I know that's where I should be running, especially on short tracks or racetracks that you got to save the right rear. It seemed to benefit my race style, but just got to string them together. They are what they are. Pit strategies, it seems to always be the biggest thing here. If we get caught on pit road on a long stretch and you're down a lap, or you got to be the first guy 1 lap down. So all of it's tough. We just kind of go race by race, and hopefully I can keep it, going straight, making my pit stops at the right time, and just keep on clicking off good finishes. You get to the end, hopefully after the round of 15, and that last race, you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, good job tonight. Good result for Michael Bennett. The floor is yours, sir. Friends, family, sponsors. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out tonight, sir?
Yeah, this league, it's pretty clean. It goes off with a hitch, so just thank the league and all the guys in it. Pretty respectful. We're all going to have moments, but first off, thank those guys, the Lowline Motorsports guys that I joined up with, my wife and kids for letting me do this. Get down here in iRace and do a league night and do something on a Monday night. So, and you guys for a broadcast and getting our names out there.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to do it, sir. Keep going fast and having fun. That's Michael Bennett. He's going to be second today here at Iowa. And then last but not least, our winner this evening, Mr. Caleb Sisk. Caleb, we've talked to you. We've talked to you in the past few weeks where it's not quite worked out. Tonight, though, everything kind of came together beautifully. You led the most laps, sat on pole, won the race. Talk us through how Caleb Sisk dominated Iowa this evening.
Coming in, that I'd roll the bottom nice and slow for the first 50, 60 laps, and I really didn't practice any long run speed. I just kind of know where I need to be at Iowa, and it worked out about lap 35 or 38 there. Matt Sisler really wanted to get to the lead and wanted to use my door up, and I think we taught Matt Sisler a small lesson without wrecking him. Just, hey man, if I'm just riding, saving my stuff, let's not use my door up to go by me. So that was really fun. We got to racing there, had some good green flag stops, and got to see people work on their in and out laps. Michael Bennett really put the pressure on. Chris Goins put the pressure on. We all three ran really clean, and we just couldn't make ground on each other. I couldn't get away much more than I did, and they couldn't get all the way to me. But finally, you're right. We go P2, P2, and finally break through and get another checkered.
There you go. That's what it's all about, Caleb. Kendale, any questions for the winner this evening?
Hey, congrats, Caleb Sisk, on your win. The one thing I was kind of wondering was, we saw them start catching you, and then you kind of started equalizing the gap. Was there kind of some tire saving method in there to kind of, in case of a late race caution, or was it just full out for that 006?
Yeah, I really like to ride the right front for about 20 laps here in the early going, and then I want to ride the right rear the rest of the way, and that costs me a little time from like 15 to 35, but the last 15 laps of a stint, or if it does go to a yellow, the right front cools off super fast, and then I have tons of right rear grip, so it makes for really, really good takeoff speed. So that was the strategy. We kind of stuck to it. The last 10 laps of the race, though, I never really put it on the right rear. I just stayed doing what I was doing. I felt pretty comfortable where the gap was and was just praying for no yellow, but knew if one came out, we had a little bit for him if we needed to.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations on your big win tonight, Caleb. The playoffs continue to go forward, and you're in an awesome spot within those playoffs. So keep up the good work. Any friends, families, sponsors that you'd like to give a shout out to this evening, the floor is yours from Victory Lane, sir.
Yeah, big shout out to the teammates. I mean, this is no fun when you're doing this by yourself. So appreciate Skylar and Nick, Connor tomorrow night. So tomorrow night we shift gears. We go from being on track to being in the sky, spotter, crew chief, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully we can get a Gen 6 win. Big shout out to you guys. Appreciate you coming on, especially in the middle of the year. You guys have really made an audible. It's been nice to be able to watch the broadcast when I'm drawing or doing something in the morning at work. I'll put the broadcast on and rewatch it. Appreciate Derek and admins. Again, people will never be excited. I wasn't excited a few weeks ago when I got a penalty, and it is what it is. But they have a tough job, so appreciate all them. Sis Speed Shop, Skunkworks Graphics, Nick Biddy Designs. Hit us up if you need some help. We can help you out, and hopefully you guys have a good night.
You know what? We're gonna do it. Keep going fast and having fun, sir.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
Yep, will do. That's Caleb Sisk. He is the winner tonight from Iowa. And Kendale, we were treated to a really, really, really respectful race throughout. That's pretty amazing. Have just a couple of cautions here for a race at Iowa.
Yeah, you had the little hiccups there at the beginning. You're always going to have that here in a long race at Iowa. But, I mean, from lap 30 to all the way to the end, we had green flag racing, and we had some strategy calls. I got to say, I got to feel really bad for Joshua Moore. He had something cooking there, and due to the internet, it just crashes, and he crashes and burns, and that stinks. But that's all part of racing virtually. We all have those different challenges compared to iRacing, to the real world, the internet being one of them. But really good job from the top three all night tonight, and serving them stuff and making the right calls on the pit strategy.
Yeah, I'd echo that. It would have been interesting to see the way it would have turned out had Joshua Moore not disconnected. And you got to feel awful for Josh, because that's not anything of his doing. It's just, it's a random thing. It's something with your ISP. It's something, maybe with the connection routing. I know a lot of guys, myself included, do a lot of work with not just the internet service provider, but also how it's routed through the internet can be a big thing. And so clearly some more work to do for Joshua Moore, but he's plenty fast, and when he gets it figured out, he's going to be in great shape. Would also love to thank Derek for letting us do this. We're having a ton of fun calling this series. Shout out to all the series sponsors, also to Whiplash Simcams, Gary Godso over at P1 I know he's had kind of a rough go of it lately, so keep your head up, Gary. You're doing a heck of a job. For the remainder of the week, we do have the ISRA Truck Series on. They are live as we speak, so if you want to go catch, if you haven't got your fix quite yet, you can catch Gary and LGN over on the sister stream. Tomorrow night, we will have the IndyCar Oval Top Split, and that is a big-time race. That's usually 4,500 or so on the SOF scale, so just about as good as you're going to see a field in iRacing will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway tomorrow night. That's 8:15 Eastern. And then I believe we are off, so no Wednesday broadcast. Gary will be over with the Elite Racing Network on Thursday. No Friday broadcast, and then a P1 crew will take care of the Velocity Online series on Saturday, and that'll be over on the Velocity Online Racing channel on YouTube. And then we'll be right back here next Monday night for the NTRL Prospec Custom Accessories Xfinity Series, and we're going to be going off from one of my absolute favorite tracks to do. That's Las Vegas. Very fun, very fast, high banked. You're going to see something akin to a hybrid there, Kendale, where we're going to see a restrictor plate race for a while, and then we're going to see something like Kansas for a while. And so that'll be a lot of fun. 2 weeks' time, we'll be at Talladega, and then in 3 weeks, we'll close the season out November the 18th at Homestead, Miami. For Kendale Paul, everybody else at the P1 Broadcasting Network, we would like to thank the first responders, the police, firefighters, military, the paramedics, everybody that does the job at night so that we can lay our heads down on the pillow and sleep soundly. For Mark Murphy, Kendale Paul, good night from virtual Iowa. We will see you next week.